Hey, peace and blessings, family. I just want to take a minute this evening just to come to y'all real quick. This week has been incredible. Of course, we smack dab in um, the Black History Kickoff Month. Black History is all year, but we're in the kickoff. The February we get turned up in this month. I just want to come to y'all, and I entitled this video "Watch What You Say," and watch how you, that should be talk and act. I'm gonna edit that right now. Watch how you talk and act. Because our kids are seriously looking at uh, how we talk and how we act today, not just today, in a lot of my classes over the last couple of days. It's Black History Month, so of course we're getting it in on Black history, and we're learning a lot. And so for me, when I talk about Black history, I tend to use science a lot. I'm one of those science people where when you're talking to Black folks, you got to talk science. It really helps people to understand where we are. And so, I was doing that. And in the midst today of doing, in the midst of doing that today, one of the young ladies asked me, why is it, it's been her experience, because that's how my girls talk. It's been her experience that Black people tend to, the ones she's around, tend to always want to talk about how they're mixed with everything. And I always ask young people, well, give me an example of that. Because I want to make sure I'm hearing what it is that she's sharing. I'm really big at asking young people to flat out talk about and break down what it is that you mean. Like, give me an example. That's what I always do. And so she talked about like her mom and her grandma was talking about how they mix with this and they mix with that and blah, blah, blah. And I said, oh, okay. I said, where do all the people on the planet come from? Because all of us have a common ancestry. And of course, the kids didn't know. So then I do science. And I asked the young ladies, I said, say if, I was going this way. Okay. Well, that's even better. So say if you had Black hair. I learned this when I was in middle school at Charles Gady, which is now Rosa Parks. I had a white science teacher. Yeah. And he did this exercise. And he said, if you have jet black hair, and when you go to bleach out or strip that hair down, what color would come next? And that color would be brown. And what's the color after that? And that color would be red. And what's the color after that? That color would be orange. And that color after that, that color would be yellow. And that color after that, it would be white. And he said, that is the so-called races. Just like that in the class. And I'm not going to front. I was dumbfounded because I really didn't know that, honestly. But I never, ever forgot that explanation that he gave to us. I never forgot it. Let me save this, family, so that I can write on it. If it'll let me, it may not let me. But also what I learned from this gentleman is that he talked about the races, the Black being the African, the brown being the so-called Latino, the red being the so-called Indian, the orange 45 is out of office, the yellow being Asian, and then the white being European or Caucasian. And then I go a little bit further when I work with young people. So when we got to that, I said that Black woman has that mitochondrial DNA. She can produce all of those colors we just talked about, the brown so-called people, the red so-called people, the yellow people, the white people. Like, she produces all of them. That is in her DNA. She's the only being that has that ability. And there's always one young person who asks me, well, what if a person is really light-skinned and then they have a baby and the baby comes out dark? And I said, that's because she was a Black woman. That's called a throwback gene. This is all science. But then I also go a little bit deeper, and I teach them about the term recessive and dominant. And I always say, what is dominant? And the kid's like, I don't know what dominant is. And then I said, say if we had LeBron James and he's really good at basketball, he's very dominant. And then somebody said powerful. And then it's like dominant is to be, and it's like forceful. And then we get to the word strong. And then I said, well, that's what the word dominant is, to be very strong. Like nothing can almost break the person. They're very dominant. I said, so if one end is dominant, what is the other end? If there's a term called recessive. And then that means weak. Immediately they get it. So I talk about how black and brown eye, dominant. Green and blue eye, recessive. Then we talked about the albino, and I asked them, what is an albino? And we talk about and usually there's one kid in there who really knows this stuff because they have parents who probably teach them that, but that's not something we talk about in our circles. But there's always one kid in there who totally know all this stuff. So that person's lighting up right now. You know what I mean? So basically, that kid tells me, she shares that information. So we talk about the albino and the lack of pigment and what is pigment, what is melanin, what does it all do? Why do we need it? And we talk about that black. So we go right into that melanin and how it protects you from the sun and it absorbs the rays. We talk about dominant hair, that good hair that sticks up and it defies gravity and it reaches towards the sun. And we talk about recessive hair that is down, and anything that's dead usually goes down, like it can't move. It's not dominant, it's really recessive. I break all these terms down. But the interesting thing is some of the look on some of the kids' faces, because somebody had told them because they looked a certain way that they were fair skinned, like they were closer to white, or that they had good hair. And I explained to them, like, some of these terms are terms that are used against who we are. There's no such thing as a fair-skinned person. A person could be light, they can be dark, but there is no color named fair. And I asked them to break down where that term comes from and how we have to stop using terms that divide us. But then I go a little further with my kids. So I showed them these pictures. These are some of the African women that we see on the continent. I show them this picture here, and I was like, all of these women in here are black. These are beautiful black women. I don't know why this is not letting me zoom. I've updated, so I can't really make this big. I don't know why I can't. Let me see. Yeah, it's doing something weird. I don't know what the heck is happening with my computer, but it's okay. So I show them these women. You know what I mean? And then I always talk about, but these people here are brown people, and they're from Latin America. In this picture, they're from Guatemala, they're from Cuba, they're from Honduras, Nicaragua. They look like us in those places. They rarely show you when they say you're mixed with Cuban, the person could look like this, and they're Latino. And they speak Spanish or they speak Portuguese or one of the Romance languages. And then I go a little further. I said, let's look at the red people. All these people are categorized as being Indian. And I show them these pictures. Look at how they look. See if I can make this a little bigger because I really want y'all to see that. These are the Indian people that you don't get to see, or Polynesian. Sometimes they have them under Indian, sometimes they have them under Asian. But look at how they look. Look at their hair. Look at their eyes. Look at their nose. Look at them. They're us. Then I go a little faster because you are the mother of all these people. You created them. Then I explained to them that the black people you see in America, we're like the smaller part. There's more black people in Latin America than there are here in North America, here in the United States. A lot of our kids don't know that because a lot of them aren't traveling and seeing the world. And that is not how we educate each other here. So they don't really know that. Then we go on down to the yellow, which is the Asian. These people are categorized as being Asian. Look at how they look. And I'm so sorry I can't bring this any closer because it won't let me. But these are Asians. Look at how they look. Look at them. And then I say, look, you could do a little bit more research. And when you find out who that original white person is, not the one you see now, but the one that they dug up. And this is what that person looked. Oh, this is the other Asian picture. Something's going on with my computer where it won't let me move stuff, but it's okay. Sorry, you couldn't make that bigger. Maybe I can in a minute. And then I show them this person of the original white man that they have. What really gets me when we have these conversations that I really love, sometimes I'm very much saddened by our children being taught at home and in their communities. Now, I'm not talking about white people, because I teach a lot of black girls. Like some of my classes are all black girls, and we are teaching our kids with this thing about we're mixed with everything. You're really teaching your child to be ashamed of who they are because that's how they feel, and then they can't come and tell you that, you know. So you have them saying, I'm mixed with all of this stuff. And it's like, but that's really not true. Because if you create everybody, how can you possibly be mixed when you are the original? You created all of these people on the planet. So I beg of you, watch the way you're talking about who you are. Watch that. Your kids are looking at the way you do that. They're looking at what you value by the way you talk, by the way you compliment people, by what you think is beautiful. They hear you loud and clear. They hear you lessening who they are as Black people. I always get one kid that says to me, wow, my mom she don't sound nothing the way you sound. And I always say, that's because I've been really studying. I've been exposed to a lot. But I also am one of those children who came out of the 70s. And I'm from North Philadelphia. Like today, I was sharing with them the Black National Anthem. None of the kids in the class I was in today knew what that was. So I made them look it up. When I asked them, what's the origins of Black History Month? None of them knew that. I said, do you know that there's a Black National Anthem? None of them knew that. And so that tells me that we aren't doing the greatest job. We cannot be blaming white people at this late date when we have the power to how we mold our children and what we expose them to. They hear us being divisive in Blackness. They hear us say the term good hair and fair skin. They hear us talk about how mixed people are so beautiful. They hear us talk about nappy hair. They hear us talk about all these negative traits and what make us Black, because we got to be lit and turned up. Then I have some girls in my class who are clearly African. I mean, Black, beautifully Black. And hear people say, well, they kind of whitewash because they're not talking in the way we think Black people should talk. Because somehow we told them that Black people only come in one kind of form. And that form is not valued. Y'all, this is all on us. We don't get to blame white supremacy. We don't get to blame the white lady teacher. I mean, even if you send your kid off to get educated by them, they still have to come home and you can educate them. At this late date, you cannot blame the system because you are the system, because you brought them in here to this side. So educate yourself. There's the internet. We find all kind of bullshit on the internet to back up crazy shit we believe. Search some truth. Today, I gave them that word, mitochondrial DNA, and I asked them to look it up. Look up that word. And then they start to learn that that's the Eve gene term. And Black women are the only women who have that gene. That's why we can produce all of these looking kind of people. And that all the people on the planet with the so-called races really did come out of a Black woman. And that's why when I show the PowerPoint of Black people and all the so-called races, it really trips them out because it's like, I've never seen an Asian that looked like that before. I've never seen an Indian person look like that before. You know what I mean? They've never seen that. They've never been to India. They don't know that there's people down there that's blacker than they is. They don't know that. Because somewhere in our own psyche, we've kind of gone out the way to kind of be ashamed of who we are. And now our kids are struggling. They're struggling right now. And they don't want to hear our false narrative about who we say we are when they can look at the way we act, the way we talk, that we are not proud of who we are. They know it because they watch the way we interface with people. So I show them the slide that the original people of the planet came out of Africa, that this mitochondrial DNA, that Eve gene. I talk about this. There's 1.3 billion people in Africa. And they speak over 2,000 languages and have over 3,000 ethnic groups. And I was saying, we come out of a woman who looks just like this, like everybody on the planet, Eve or whatever you want to call her, is looking like this because this color produces all the others. I said, if you ever take an original copy, somebody prints it off of the copy machine, and you take that copy and you lay it back on the glass and you make a copy, then you take that copy and you lay that on the glass. By the time you get to that 10th doing that copy, that paper's going to be lighter than the first original 10th one. All of that is science. And that's what people don't teach you and expose you. So you're showing up on a planet like you're the last people, but you really are the first people. So I showed them all of these African people and what we look like on the continent. Then I show them what we look like down in Latin America and in South America. These people here from like El Salvador and Cuba and Dominican Republic and Haiti and Honduras, like all over Brazil. This is what they look like. And then this is what they look like in India. These are Black people. This is you, Black people. These people come out of you. We are the great mothers. So you don't have to worry about what Karen does. You don't have to worry about the white girl mocking you. Flattery is the highest form. I mean, imitation is the highest form of flattery. Of course, people want to be you. The trick is to make you feel like you're nothing so that I can take your stuff and act like I created, but you are the creator. Even if it comes down to hair weaves, that's nothing European. We've been doing hair extensions and stuff like that on the continent of Africa. That's who we are. But we got to teach our babies. We're everywhere. Look at these Asian people. Look at them. These are Asians that we don't get to see. This is their mothers. These are the original people. Everybody comes out of Black. And then this is the original white person that most of us just skip right over because we want to think every white person is pale with blue eyes. And they only keep winning because we forget that we created all these damn people. We forgot that that's how powerful we are. We did that. We did that. We created these people. And I break it down to them just like that. That all of these colors come out of Black. You could not even see the universe if we were, you couldn't even see any of this if we wasn't rolling around in a Black universe. You couldn't see a star in the sky. That whole amazing scientific way of being is inside of you, Black woman. You have nothing to be ashamed of. But I must tell you that we got to watch the way we're talking in front of our young people. We got to watch who we coo over in front of our kids. We got to watch that language when talking about complexion and hair and good and fair. Like, we got to watch that. You know what I mean? Some of our kids are being validated by white people. And you can't get mad at that because they're not getting it from us. Because sometimes when we talk, we erase Black people. We be so concerned about what the other races are doing that we forget about the Black person that's in the room, that they need to be acknowledged, and we need to love on them. And there's no excuse for that. So I just want to come on here and share that because that blew me away today. I mean, this whole week I've been doing this whole piece because even when I start talking about Black History Month, just some of the stuff they think the only Black people that exist is here in the United States. Some of them, they say African American. I'll be like, well, we're just a small part of the puzzle. There are African Black people all over the globe. We are the smallest section in most cases. You know, but because when we think Mexicans, we don't think about the ones I just showed you. We don't even count these. All these people right here is from Latin America. Some are Mexican, from some El Salvador, some Nicaraguan, you name it. Some are Brazilian, but we don't count them. So for me, when I think America, I think my own people first. But I know that we exist all over the globe. We have to start teaching our children about who we really are. And you can add on whatever you want, but I'm talking about by science. Because one of the things I love about science, you don't get no bullshit because you have to prove the theory. People could talk all kind of stuff in their biblical scriptures or their religious stuff, but when you get sick, you carry your butt to the doctors because science could tell you how to really treat that cold because it's been a theory that's been proven or whatever it is. We got to talk to our kids. We got to root them in the truth of who they really are. We got to let them know about the dominancy of who we are, the greatness of who we are. We owe that to them. And then most importantly, I'll always, always, always try to end my classes, my lecture, especially if we're talking about racism and all that. And it's like, how do we defeat racism? And I said, it's very simple, but it's not simple. What makes it really simple is it's hard. Simple things are hard to do. The biggest thing you could do is to love on yourself and love on your reflection. So they had an exercise for 2 weeks now, is that they can talk to whoever they want, but they have to especially acknowledge every Black person that comes into their circle. Even if it's just in passing, they need to say hi and just keep walking. They don't have to stop and have lunch with them. They ain't gonna do no hand play. They just have to acknowledge them. That's it. Now, that may sound simple, but to a lot of our kids, some of them, it was a challenge because they said Black people sometimes don't speak back. I said, it ain't about them speaking back. It is about you acknowledging them. That's it. Because you're acknowledging your own reflection. Another exercise, I told them if they started calling each other, hey, sis, just keep saying, hey, sis, the whole week. See if anybody picks it up. And of course, that happened. He talked about somebody saying, hey, bruh to somebody because they was all saying bruh and sis to each other. I said, that's how powerful you are because you're the mother of this whole planet. Don't get it twisted. Don't be concerned if they like you or not. That's not your job. Your job is not to be educating white people. That's not your job. That's not your job. Your job is to love you. Your job is not to take this information and go out and cuss white people out. That's not your job. It's not somebody, saying this month is all about us and bump everybody else. Bump everybody else, you don't need that part. Focus on you. But how you love on you raises the vibration for all of us. Because to be honest, family, that's what's really missing in our community. Somewhere we forgot to tell our children that is how we do it. But they see how we do it. They see how we love on each other. They see how we talk to each other. That's why I'm coming to y'all today, just to kind of give y'all this information, because that's what I witnessed in doing this class the whole week and having to get pictures and break this down. Like, let me show these kids who we really are on this planet. And then, of course, you get questions like, why it seems like people hate us? And it's like, that's their own stuff because you got it all. Maybe they lacking something, but that's not your concern. Your concern is to do and love you and love yourself hard and love your reflection hard. You get that? So that's all I want to come and say to y'all. It is vitally important for us to show our children our own reflection, our own image. We need that like the air you breathe. They got to see the variations of Blackness like they've never, ever seen it before. And we got to stop talking to our children like if Black is ugly and that being mixed is like where it is, when we know being mixed is an illusion because everybody on the planet came out of a Black person. Everybody. All of us came through a great mother. So the mixed thing is like all of us are mixed up with elements, earth, air, fire, all of us. But every person on the planet came out of that Eve gene. Somewhere in our DNA, it leads us right back there. And we cannot forget to share that with our children and to love it hard and to speak of it hard and to lift it up hard as you can, because our kids are watching us. And so we cannot put this on white people. Now the shit is in our hands. It's all on us, family. I'm talking about that God elevation. It's all on us. We are that first line of defense. So that's all I got to say, family. I got to jump off here. I got to get ready to lift up a show. Thank you for listening.